I used to do cold emailing when I was like 18 and like mass cold email. And I hated it because every day I would log in and I'd just see all these replies, people saying, hey, fuck off or unsubscribe and no thanks. And like, that would just demotivate me. And nobody
100%.
wants to do that.
I would say on a monthly basis across all of our clients, like we're sending 1 to 1.5 million emails a month.
I think content is like the most powerful thing you can do as an agency owner. It takes so much longer to ramp up, but the way it pays off is immense.
Welcome to the In the Pit podcast. I'm your host, Cody Schneider. Today, we're having my friend Nick on the show. Nick is a cold email expert and really just a lead gen expert. He's going to talk to us about all the tactical and strategic things that you can do when you're trying to scale up cold email. I think they send about 1.5 million cold emails a month. It's actually insane. And he's got a ton of knowledge that he shares on the show. This episode is brought to you by Swell AI. Swell AI is content repurposing powered by AI. Go to swellai.com and sign up for free. It's also brought to you by DraftHorse AI. DraftHorse AI is a programmatic SEO tool to create blog post content. Go to drafthorseai.com and sign up for free. And it's also brought to you by landingcat.com. Landingcat is AI-powered programmatic SEO for e-commerce. Go to landingcat.com to learn more. All right, let's get started with today's show. Nick, what's good, brother?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. We're just talking off the call, but it's just when you go those, it's just chaos weeks where it's okay. I feel like growth always happens in growth spurts, and it just comes out of nowhere, and you're in this lull, and then it just gears up, and you got to be ready for it. But anyways, I feel like that's like classic founder stuff. You're like, oh, you want it to be consistent, but it's never that.
And I think we both work in like the kind of like growth hacking, a lot of stuff. And it's always like these random hacks that we find, and the hacks get patched like the next day. And you're trying to find these loopholes.
100%.
Like that's day to day. So yeah, it's frustrating, but yeah, we're in one of those situations.
Totally, man. Totally. I feel that. So for the audience who doesn't know who you are, you give like high level three bullet points of what you do. Just for a little bit of context, Nick and I met. I buy a ton of like lead volume from him. And so that's how we got introduced, was through that process. But yeah, why don't you lay it out for them?
Yeah. So I do a lot of stuff in the B2B lead gen space. So I run an agency called Leapbird. We service over 150 active clients a month on just like end-to-end cold emails to generate leads on a pay-per-lead basis. I've also built, not me, but my team has built a lot of SaaS companies in the space as well. So we've built tools to validate emails, tools to grab emails and identify emails, tools to send emails, warming, personalized emails, like the full stack. And we built this so that we could service our customers better at Leapbird. So it's just like a whole flywheel inside of the B2B lead gen space. That's kind of me in a nutshell.
Hell yeah, man. I love it. And you do a lot of work mainly with SaaS companies, right? Is that kind of your bread and butter, or where do you guys spend the most time?
Yeah, SaaS companies. I think right now our customer concentration is more with like B2B service companies. So that could be
almost
like an
agencies.
Yeah. I think agencies are a little bit harder to deliver for nowadays. So like financial services, that's one of our favorite places to be in. Like bookkeepers, stuff like that. Fractional CF offers like that are interesting. It's just crazy with cold emails. If you aren't in a space where there's a lot of like competition, it's so easy to make those cold emails work. Cause like we all 100%. Get the emails every day that are like, hey, I could build you a website, or hey, I could be your bookkeeping, right? If you check your spam folder, you probably have 5 of those.
Anything that's not digital, I feel like it's so easy to go after.
So we have a client that basically sells yoga classes to other local businesses, and her campaign prints. And we have another one
like those niche that you never would think of. 100%.
And then we have another one that he sells pallets, like the wooden pallets he sells to manufacturing companies. That also prints. Yeah, I'm just trying to find all these like random services that no one would get a cold email for, but if they got it, they'd be like, yeah, let me hear the pricing on this, or let me just get some more info.
Totally.
Those are the spaces where it's like amazing.
100%.
Easy work.
That's a classic too, right? Like you want to go where blue ocean is, nobody else is competing, and you just take a sophisticated marketing style, whatever strategy there or tactic, and it's going to just be incredibly effective. I think that's like the one thing that like people that are just getting into kind of the digital marketing space don't realize is like all of these ideas, like all the best practices at one point were new ideas, and like the ones that are legit, and you guys are an example of this, that are on the front lines of this stuff, like you're doing things that like aren't going to be talked about until 5 years from now or 3 years from now. And like that's really what a practitioner is, like the ones that are like on those front lines. So I think for any founder that's trying to hire a head of growth or a head of marketing or something like that, it's like looking for those types of people that they're in the pit, they're figuring that piece out. But question for you. So what is the thing that like, what are people messing up with lead gen? I think there's right now at this point, and just to give you context, I'm just yeeting as many emails out as possible like basically any like lead that I know that's made a purchasing decision in the past for us. So I just go find like anybody with a job title that is like related to our target customer. And I'm just trying to land as many emails as possible. Cause for us, like we go back and we take our whole list that we're sending to. I audit the signups month over a month. And then I look at, okay, how many people came from cold email? We never had a call. We never talked to them, but they ended up signing up for the product and it turned into revenue for us. So I guess what are the things that I just want to download all your knowledge there, and we'll probably get technical at this point too, talking about like the infrastructure setup. I'd be super down for that and to hear what you guys are seeing working, just to also audit what we're doing. But anyway, yeah, I'll hand you the mic and let you run on that. But what is that thing?
Yeah, so I think the core thing is like the offer. That's where everyone messes up. And it's not even that it's going to help you in cold emails. It's going to help you in every piece of marketing. If you can have a solid offer that like actually solves the pain point of the market that you're selling for, you could pretty much do whatever, sell whatever, say it however, whatever medium, and you will get some level of results. But it's like the people that they confuse what their service or what their product is and they don't have an offer. So I'll give you an example. We'll have like video production agencies. That's all they do. That's a service. It's just video production. And it's like, we can't just email people saying, hey, I can create you nice videos and people are going to get interested and want to respond. Yeah, there's probably one or two people on that list that are actively looking for a video production agency, but the other thousands of people on the list are not. And so it's like, how do I create an offer that's more demand gen versus like demand capture? And so you can't just be a video production agency today. You've got to, what are the videos actually doing? Can you like get these videos?
Yeah, talking about the impact it's going to make, not the thing that you're providing. Yeah, totally.
And it's okay. Like if I was a video production agency, like you got to get better at what you're doing. You can't just be a video production agency. That stuff's outdated. Like you got to be like making the videos, making them into ads, and then getting them new customers or new leads or whatever it is. And then that's the offer. It's, hey, I can get you more leads through our 1 minute VSL videos or whatever it is. So it's just like being able to create better offers. Because I think most people just skip that first piece of doing the research on what their market wants. And they try to make shit stick on the wall. Like they try to force things down people's throats, but these people just don't want it. And so then it's like,
how do you identify the offers? So like for your clients that you're working with, do you have a conversation with them? What does that look like from a process standpoint?
So yeah, I think the simplest thing to do, because it's hard to figure out like how to adapt an offer for every market. When we work with 150 clients, it's hard. I think the first thing though is the simplest thing you could do is just add a guarantee. And the reason being is just because like, when you get an email that says, hey, we could do X and we guarantee Y, it's just a risk minimizer. I'm willing to hear you out because like you guarantee it, right? And that's the simplest way to get results. But here's the thing, right? Even if you guarantee it and you don't feel like you could deliver because this customer doesn't have X, Y, and Z, then just don't offer it to them on the sales call. Like sales is dynamic. It does not have to be as straightforward as, oh, I pitched this guy a guarantee and now I have to pitch it on the call. You simply just get on the call and say, hey, we typically do guarantee clients this. I noticed that you're missing X, Y, and Z. So I can't guarantee it, but I think this would still work with you. And this is what I think the result could be. Would you like to join? And then it's like, everything still works. It's flexible. And so I don't know, a lot of people
just customization. Like I'm seeing this more and more with like people using Clay. They're basically scraping whoever they're reaching out to and then trying to customize based on that. Is that what you guys are seeing working? Or I guess what's the most, or is it just I'm trying to land as many emails with the core offers? I imagine it's different for each category, right? Like the yoga person, it's just, if we just land emails, it turns into sales. Or in contrast, like if we're doing deeper sales, then it's like a lot more customization. But yeah.
Yeah. So you built a ton of like internal scrapers to like find intent. And so that makes the campaigns run better. So I'll give you an example. I can scrape like on LinkedIn, you're very active, right? I could scrape like, and let's say I had a tool very similar to Swan, right? And I'm a competitor to you. Actually, I'm not going to say this because I might as well.
No, dude, I live for this, right?
Yeah. So like I could input your info into my tool, like just your LinkedIn URL. It's going to scrape everyone who's engaged with the last 30 posts. So liked and commented. And so this is intent behind someone that could use a podcasting tool like Flow, right? And so then I can run a cold email where it's like, hey, I saw that you're engaging with a lot of like growth hacking, podcasting content on LinkedIn. Thought it made sense to reach out. And then you come in with your adjacent offer. And so we'll run this on my followers, on my content.
Looking for social signals is like the biggest thing that we're seeing be effective. Totally. Because I guess it makes sense, right? People are talking about this all in public constantly. So you have all this context of what's in their mind currently at that given moment.
Yeah. Another one I like to do a lot for intent is like scraping the followers of a company on LinkedIn. So let's say your biggest competitor. My biggest competitor has 60,000 followers on their LinkedIn page. So we scrape their followers, every single one of them, and email them. And then we put our value prop out there. They don't do it
I
on
love it.
performance. We do. So then it's, hey, I saw they were following X on LinkedIn. We do what they do, but we do it on performance. You only pay per every lead. Would you be interested in speaking? That
Super
campaign,
interesting.
one of our best performing campaigns of last year, definitely did well over 450 leads in under 3 months
Super
to that
interesting.
whole chart lead list. But yeah, like insane results. Another one I like to do is intent behind job posts. So let's say if anyone's hiring an SDR or a BDR and they have under 50 employees, they probably don't have a huge like sales team and they just need someone to generate leads. That's what we do. And so then it's like emailing them saying, hey, I saw you're hiring an SDR. We're actually an outsourced sales development firm. We can generate leads for you on a pay-per-lead basis. It'll be cheaper than hiring internally. Would you be interested in speaking? So those are like some of my favorite intent sources to scrape data from.
Dude, I love the follower one. I feel like that's it's just like a no-brainer. I'm just thinking, have you seen that tool? It's called like Sales QL. It like finds all the emails of, they're insane. Yeah, but it's like all the emails of every place they've ever worked at and their personals. We're getting insane data using that tool right now. But anyway.
Yeah. There's way better LinkedIn scrapers out there. So it's funny. We used to use Sales QL when I first started, the big one. So we actually built our own LinkedIn scraper. Cool. So the bad thing about Sales QL is that it uses your LinkedIn profile. And so then you can run into a lot, and like you're posting a lot of content, your account is valuable. You have a lot of social followers on there. You could run into your account getting banned because you're using a Chrome extension on there. So you want to find the type of tools that all they need is like a sales nav search link. And then they're not actually leveraging your profile. They're leveraging their internal network of profiles because it'll just keep your account protected. And usually like those can grab more data too.
So rather than page by page.
Yeah.
Is there any that you like it in particular that you're like stoked about, or are you just using the one that you guys built internally and then have a proxy network of accounts that you're using?
Yeah. So allegedly we own this tool called goldenleads.io and then it could do something like that. Not affiliated by any means.
Amazing.
But no, there's another tool. It's called Champions. I think champions.io, what it does is it'll help you identify so you can give it your competitor and it's going to identify people that are in their sales pipeline. And then you could reach out because they're making a buying decision. And so you could reach out to them with, hey, I saw you in the market for lead gen. We also do this. We do our performance. Would you be interested in just hearing this out? Like those campaigns print. And so that's like a new intent single that I just found recently. I think my CTO is involved in that project. But yeah, it's really good.
That's super interesting. Dude, I love this model of it's like service combined with software and like building the tools around that. Like we use you guys for like export lists where it's just like it's basically like a data dump from all these sources. I think we just ripped through like 250,000 credits in 7 days or something ridiculous. But anyway, I think that this whole new model like for companies to think about is like, how do I combine these things together? And like that internal tooling, a lot of the times that can be spun out into its own products, which is also this crazy thing. That's what happened for us with like Draft Horse. We like built this internal like programmatic SEO tool. I was talking about it in public and people were like, yo, I want that. Can you sell me that? And then we spun it out as its own thing, right? And I think it's a classic model, but something that's for like finding problems and building stuff that solve them. There's probably a market out there you can sell that thing to as well, like on its own thing. But you guys are focused more and more on the agency side, less on the software piece from the conversations we had. Is there a reason for that? Just don't want to you're not focused on the software or like the SaaS side, or what's that look like?
Yeah, so in my eyes, I think with software, so what I hate is if I get a message from someone on LinkedIn, hey, your chat support hasn't replied on a Sunday, and they're DMing me with their problem and they're paying $40 a month for our software. That just irks me to another level. With the agency, all of our clients, like they're paying us thousands of dollars a month. And it makes sense to speak to them, solve their problems, get on calls with them. It's easier to service them. They have less expectations and you make more money. And so for me, I truly enjoy the agency game way more than the software piece. I know you can get better multiples on software, all that stuff, and like the fulfillment's a little bit more automated. But if you're trying to print
cash, that's the goal, and these service businesses are the way to do it.
And the thing everyone gets, I see a lot of people that are in the agency space, they're like, yo, I need to build a SaaS. I need a SaaS. Like it's easier than running an agency. And then they're like, oh, the agency is like, or like the SaaS has like the fulfillment being automated. And I'm like, yeah, you could do that with your agency if you learn to delegate work properly and build out systems and processes of the team and a management infrastructure to make sure everybody's running good. And you get paid 5, 10, 15 times more. And I think a lot of people, when they start off, the thing is they have a software product, it's a $97 per month. They don't realize that churn is going to be high and that just service and acquire 10 customers, you're only making $1,000 per month. Put that time and energy into getting 4 agency customers and you're making 5 times that amount, 6 times that amount. So I think like for a lot of people, it makes so much more sense. And then the other thing too is like most people aren't technical. They can't build software. And so now they're paying or sharing a product with a co-founder, a CTO, 50% down both ways.
Totally.
So not only are you making $1,000, which is not enough to sustain like your lifestyle, but you're splitting $1,000 MRR with a co-founder. So it's like your take home is just a lot. It's just, I think it's so much easier. If you're competent, it's so much more easier to make the agency game a piece of cake. So yeah, I think 90% of people should just be in the agency space.
Yeah, I think the only reason it makes sense on the software side is if you're planning on an exit or some type of acquisition, right? Like you're looking for that liquidity event. You can sell agencies, right? If they're super, like especially like with what you guys do, it probably makes sense. But if you're doing like kind of bespoke stuff, it's impossible to sell that. But if you have a single product offering that's here's this pillar product, then you see like decent multiples on that of just for the agency. But yeah, it's a classic. So to switch gears and just change momentum, talk to me about the infrastructure that you guys use to do all this. Like right now, basically how we're set up is I'm using either Smart Lead or Instantly, depending on what we're doing. We're doing all the validation with zero bounce. And then I'm like, really, it's super simple. Like I'm just buying domains through Cloudflare, using Microsoft for the inboxes. And then that's like basically the structure. What's the tactical things that you guys are doing from a setup that you're seeing increase open rates, that type of thing? I had friends reach out recently and they're like, hey, Cloudflare, like a lot of the domains the deliverability is less right now than what they were using Pork Bun because they had like it was like a domain sale for, I think you get .co's.coms for $2 or something. So some guy was like, yeah, I just spent like $3,000 to go buy domains that we could turn. But anyways, I'm curious what you guys are seeing working right now for your cold outbound.
Yeah, so we'll still use Pork Bun because it's cheaper to buy the domains there, but all we do is change the name servers to Cloudflare.
Interesting.
You do that without any costs, and that'll help the deliverability aspect of it. And so, yeah, we were up until 2 weeks ago just doing everything on Outlook, but Outlook is a lot of issues right now, and they're identifying spam a lot quicker. And so now we do a split of Outlook and G Suite. And then when it comes to lead sourcing, it just depends on what kind of campaign we're running. But we'll use everything from Apollo to SalesNav to scraping people's followers, a whole bunch of internal tools. And then for actually sending, we'll use Smart Lead. And then in Smart Lead, they have the setup in there called same sender matching. So what it does is it will look at your lead list and analyze what are they using? Are they using Google or are they using Microsoft? And then if you have both of those providers of inbox, it'll match it. So like all the Google emails will send to Google, all the Outlook will send to Outlook, and you'll have better inboxing you'll have better inbox placement when you do things like that for the most part. That's what we're seeing right now. And then for validation, we'll use Million Verifier. I like Million Verifier because they have a really good API. It's super cheap. And they only charge you per valid email. Zero bounce will charge you for every lead you have on the list, regardless if it comes back valid or invalid. So Million Verifier, best bang for the buck on the validation side. For catch-alls, we use our internal tool called Scrubby. It's the only tool that can properly validate catch-alls on the market right now.
Super interesting.
And then,
is that public or do you just guys have it internally?
No, it's public. It's public. Yeah.
Nice.
That's one of the other SaaS companies we won. And then, yeah, that's like the entire tech stack in a nutshell. CRM that we use internally is HubSpot, but I think for most people, they should just use something like
it's super
Close.
easy. They already, totally.
Yeah.
I think it's just what people always get hung up on is all just the technical components of setting this up and how often are you cycling domains, that type of thing. But it's, for a lot of people, I think they think this, you turn it on and it runs. And in reality, there's this monitoring that's happening over the top of it. Can you talk to me about that and like what you're seeing be most effective on the monitoring side? Are you rotating inbox sendings? Like what are you doing on a weekly, monthly basis to make sure that deliverability is high? Yeah.
So I think we go like overboard, but that's because it's like our business model, right? That we have to do this for customers. So we have a lot of these intrinsic systems. Most of you guys that are probably listening won't be able to do that. So I'll speak about what I would do if I wasn't running a lead gen agency. If your reply rate is anything below like 3%, what I would, and let's say, actually, let me say that again. If your reply rate is anything below 1%, I would just kill the domain and inbox and just buy a new one and set a new inbox up. That usually solves most reputation issues faster than trying to figure out like what caused the inbox to die or how can I get this inbox to inbox better. Just get a fresh one. That does a lot more. It's easier to calculate, easier to do and maintain and stuff than trying to figure out like if this inbox died and if I should get a new one or things like that. So I think that's the first thing on the deliverability front. On leadless, so one thing that we do that I think is super smart and makes like running our internal campaigns a lot more is like all these databases refresh, right? Like they will add anywhere from 10 to 20% of your ICP into that search criteria every month. And so building a system to have it automatically done where it'll pull all the net new leads every month and just automatically a smart lead campaign. So then it does just run on autopilot. And then I think when it comes to actually assessing your campaign, everyone has these metrics that are completely off, right? I don't care about open rate. I honestly don't even care about reply rate. What I'm looking at is my contact to lead ratio. Like how many people do I have to reach out to get a meeting ready lead, someone that's wanting to speak and is interested.
Which is not even measurable by any of these tools. It's just we're getting responses and getting meetings scheduled.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's the North Star. That's the number. Because like when you run cold emails, like the thing you should be looking for is lowering that contact to lead ratio. And the way you do that is if you can get all the fundamentals down in terms of deliverability, sending good copy and all that good stuff, the next piece is just like switching up and split testing your offer, like what you're pitching in the email, the angles that you come after, the CTA that you're saying. And you figure out what is driving the lowest contact to lead ratio. And then you just scale that campaign and you just figure out how to get as many contacts added into that specific angle. And then you just keep cycling the inboxes whenever you feel like they're dying.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
almost like display
way
creative testing. That same idea being applied here, right? Where it's I'm going to do 20 different ads on Facebook, look at what are the highest performers are, and then all ad budget goes there. It's the same idea, but just routing leads to the top performer.
Exactly. That to me is like the best way to go about it. And then I think where a lot of people mess up on the cold email front too as well is they just don't have inbox management skills. And I'll tell you why. I used to do cold emailing when I was like 18 and like mass cold email. And I hated it because every day I would log in and I'd just see all these replies, people saying, hey, fuck off or unsubscribe and no thanks. And like, that would just demotivate me. And nobody
100%.
Wants to do that. And so you just got to get, you just got to like turn off the feelings.
It's a grindy role, man. Like we have a team member that does this and it's half the time too. They're like, stop emailing me, remove me. I'm like, sounds good, will do. Anyway, this is our offer. Like I literally will go and repeat the offer and like 50% of the time it'll work. So I think it's like that mental, like just, I don't know. It's almost like treating it like this, like it's like relentless almost in a way. But
I'll tell you what's working really well for us on like some of our internal SaaS lead gen campaigns. It's actually pretty interesting. So I have my developer auto create their accounts on our end, and then we'll email them and basically tell them what it is, and then just be like, "Hey, we created an account for you. Here's username and password. Let me know what you think."
Super
and then
interesting.
They'll just go sign in. So our new registrant, like our new user, like sign in a very healthy amount, and then you just focus on the back end on the email nurture flows and like what you do after they get into the app to really convert them into a paying user, and that works really well because they just see that
the account's created for me. That's happening after sign up.
Yeah. And they just see it. They just see like, they made an account for me. They'll see, they made an account for me. Let me just log in. Yeah.
Totally.
No credit card required, nothing like that. And then when they actually want to use it, that's whenever you charge them. And like that cooks. Like that does so well.
100%. We're doing like almost the same version of this, but we're like, hey, reply with the YouTube URL and we'll make you clips for free is our kind of an offer that we're seeing be really effective. Yeah. And
that's so good.
Totally. Send back a YouTube URL. We create an account for them. Drop it in. I send it back. Like I basically invite them from the app. Like once the content is ready, it's cool. Just set this up for you. Here's the link. Here's your login link. Basically, we like built a way to just send that back to them. And I mean that accounted for 20% of our new revenue last month was just that, right? So all day I'll let rip. I think the thing that I'm having trouble with at the moment is just like how many inboxes I need to have for the scale. Like I'm trying to land like 100,000 emails a month, and it's looking like having basically like close to 150 domains and then cycling around through those is the way to do this. Structurally, how should I be thinking about that to make that more like the most effective?
Yeah, so I'll tell you the most cost efficient way to do it. This is more on like the black hat, gray hat side of things that we allegedly might do here and there. But there's these things called educational tools, and Google and Microsoft sell these to organizations. There's a lot of people in foreign countries that have schools that they set up and they sell these panels. And then you could go load up 1,000 domains into these panels, create 10,000 inboxes in there and have no monthly cost. The benefit to those, so there are some downsides. So like the one thing is like your panel could get entirely shut down and then you have to start from scratch. So that kind of sucks. And then sometimes your IP will be based in like a foreign country, which is the best for deliverability sometimes. But you're emailing like SMBs and mid-market companies, you don't really have to worry too much about that. It's like you're trying to email into like the Fortune 500 or something where the IP plays a very big part. And the benefit though is obviously you just don't have a monthly cost on it, on the inbox. And then you can spin up 100 more inboxes and then you could lower the volume for each inbox some 5 emails per day. Your overall volume is still super high. But since you're only sending 5 per day, it's almost impossible to ruin the reputation of that inbox. So like things like that you could do to have really good deliverability and keep really low costs and be able to send 100,000 emails. And
cost isn't a factor. What's the fastest way to do this? I'm over here, buy fucking 200 domains on Pork Bun, Cloudflare for the DNS, and then just spin up Microsoft G Suite accounts and then cycle that through? Hey, is there a regularity that you're cycling through these domains? Or once you burn a domain, are you even resurrecting it, or are you just like saying, okay, that's done, it's cooked, we're moving on from that now to a new one?
Yeah, so yeah, exactly that. Like as soon as we know that the reply rate is below 1%, consider it cooked. There's also other signs too. So like sometimes you'll have a bounce rate on an inbox be like well over 20%, and it'll say in the bounce message, this message is being rejected because of spam. That inbox is cooked. That domain is probably cooked. I used to spend a lot of time trying to figure out, okay, how can I get our inbox livability better and all that. The simple solution is always just kill the inbox, get a new one going, because it's just faster.
Totally.
And if your goal is to send more volume, and that's what our goal is for our clients, that we want to send as much volume as we can.
Totally.
That's the quickest solution. I think if you're trying to get 100,000 emails out per month, you could send a lot of people might recommend like building your own server and stuff. Those things are, in my opinion, a lot harder to manage. We've tried it. We've done it before. Like just stick with G Suite accounts. What you should try to do though is try to get automations built to auto spin the accounts. So you don't have to have someone that's doing it manually or taking their time to do it. So that's what we built.
Makes total sense.
So we have a code that will just like auto buy the domain, auto add it to Fork Done, auto change the name server, add it into Microsoft, add it to Google, create the users, and then add it into Smartly all automatically. And that's where it gets really good. Yeah.
It's for the audience. Like, what is it? When you say like high volume, like what is the level that you're at with this type of stuff? Just to give them the perspective on like for a yoga client, like how many of these are you landing as an example, or what's one of your biggest accounts? Maybe is a better question.
So I think the most emails we send for us. So yeah, most of the emails we send for like the individual client, I think is like in the 30 to 45,000 per month range. So nothing like super, super crazy. But like I would say on a monthly basis across all of our clients, like we're sending 1 to 1.5 million emails a month. So yeah, I used to have, so one of my co-founders on one of our SaaS companies, Scrubby, his name's Eric Paulson. He runs Venices, and he used to send for a single client over 100,000 emails a month. And he had this crazy rickshaw machine. This is before like the spam filters caught up. He's been in the email base for 20 years. Insane. And yeah, he used to send 100,000 emails for a single client every day. Like he used to generate, and I don't want to name the company because they're publicly traded right now, but he was generating them like QLs or SQLs a month, something insane like that. And it's a telecom offer too. So that's like the hardest offer to sell.
Like, yeah, totally.
And he would just railing emails.
I love it, man.
It was like my first ever like seeing something like as crazy as that. But this was literally, and yeah, if anyone's listening, he's honestly like a very OG in the space when it comes to contacting the cold emails and everything he's built. He's helped me a lot. Like he's like a mentor of mine. But yeah, he's built some like crazy stuff like 15 years before it became popular now. Like the email tool that me and him worked on, we're not developers, so I think that's where we failed on a lot of SaaS companies. But we had like inbox rotation and all that stuff before Smartly, I think these other guys came out, which is like the crazy thing. Like, if you go to my tweets, you'll see tweets from like 2018, 2019, where I literally have screenshots of, oh, look at this email platform we built that can spin inboxes and do all this rotation and inbox swarming. And this is before like so any of these other guys came out with these solutions, which I thought was like crazy. But we just never got the technical piece to really hold that together.
Totally. Are you guys doing any like email newsletter building type work as well? Or is it mainly just cold? Like we're just trying to land cold?
So I really want to. That's a side project I want to do. So there's a website called igleads.io. You can get and scrape Instagram for extremely cheap. I would love to scrape anything related to, entrepreneurship and try to build like a huge entrepreneurship community by just like mass cold emailing anybody. Because you'll get like their personal emails, and those are the best ones to try to build up like a newsletter in that sense.
Totally.
I think Chase Diamond did something like that with I think it was people that are into vacations. I don't know what that term is, but like he built like a huge newsletter that I think he ended up selling for a pretty hefty amount. This huge thread on Twitter about it. It's
so much money in it. My buddy's in the newsletter space and has 250K subs on it's like one of the bigger AI newsletters, and it's great. Challenge is a grind, right? It's a content grind, but what we've been experimenting with is pairing these with podcasts. So you basically grow newsletters for podcasts, and the podcast, you just sit down on a weekly basis and it makes the source file, which then turns into like this like Trojan horse that you can drop. But we're cold emailing people. Like everybody that's listening to that's on this list. This is how they got on this list.
Yeah.
People don't think podcasts are marketing yet. And so when you like send these out, like we see open rates in the 40+% range and click rates in the 3% range. And then that just turns into, I can add a brought to you by section at the bottom of this thing with whatever the offer is. And you have a newsletter at that point. But We're seeing that we can grow these things from like 0 to like 100,000 subs in 12 months. It's like the most insane shit I've ever seen.
Yeah. Dude, I wish my job could just be like growth hacking, like things like that.
That
like,
type of thing, 100%.
If that was my role and I didn't have to worry about recruiting, hiring, product, operations, all that stuff, I would be so happy every single day. Like
100%.
if I could just like, if someone just gave me a company and was like, Nick, just figure out how to generate as many leads for this company as humanly possible. And here's a budget. Oh man, I would love that.
Live for that. Totally. Man, I love it, man. Where do you see all this going? What's on the frontier? What are the things that you guys are thinking about? What are the things you're worried about with this? And how are you trying to mitigate that risk?
Yeah. So, I mean, so if you look at it from in the last 5 years, costs have gone dramatically down for everything when it comes to outbound marketing and outbound sales. And that's not the greatest thing to see because now the barrier to entry has gotten a lot easier. So you see a lot more people, like they don't even push the typical, hey, Facebook ads for e-commerce brands type offer. Like it's, hey, go start a B2B lead gen agency. So now you're just seeing a lot more competition in these spaces, which is good, but it's also
that's like what every
like,
Discord channel like shilling to a 19-year-old is like showing them how to do right now.
Yeah, no, literally. And so the good thing though, it does breed innovation. Like I think in the last year, we've built so many more like internal tools just because of like how competition has come and what has been introduced to the market and stuff like that.
You just had to create differentiation basically is what it turns into. Yeah.
And so that's the good side. But yeah, I think like now the other thing too is I wish I could pull this data somehow, but I bet you if you look at the amount of emails that have been sent out in the world in the last 10 years, it's probably like a hockey stick growth type thing where everybody is sending way more emails because of tools like Instantly and Smartly, which just make it a lot harder to stand out. I mean, we've seen this, like our lead rates have dropped a decent amount in the last 4 years. And I think it's just going to make it like, I think the spam filters are going to get a lot harder and it's going to be a lot harder to land in the inbox. But I think everything's in waves. I think we're going to go into a tough 6 to 12 months where inboxing gets a lot harder. The prices to be able to do a lot of this stuff go up. The actual individual instances that work well, the price will be higher. And what it does is for a lot of the new guys that started, it'll just kill because they won't have the cash flow and the money to stay in the next 6 months. But I think for the people that are established in the space, will weather the storm and then just keep riding. So I think that's
going to go away too. I think it will evolve. It's like all things. Email is the OG. It has been the OG and it will continue to be like the most effective channel. Yeah, it's from the beginning of the internet, right? This has been like one of the most powerful marketing channels that exists. So it's just the form always evolves with this, but it's really interesting to talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, imagine having all the like the stuff we have right now, like 15 years ago.
I can't even. Like, 100%. Just like
I'd be Elon Musk right now, man.
Dude, it'd be stupid.
I'd be that billionaire list.
100%. I love it, man. Where if people want to talk to you, where can they find you, and where are you most active online, and anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, pretty active everywhere. Just type in Nick Abraham and I'll probably come up on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitter. But yeah, that's really about it. You need leads or a performance model, check out Leaper.
Last thing, I actually want to ask you about this is the YouTube as a top of funnel strategy. Because we talked about this the last time we linked up. Give me the high level of how you're seeing that work for the agency.
Yeah, so I think content is like the most powerful thing you can do as an agency owner. It takes so much longer to ramp up, but the way it pays off is immense. And I think the biggest thing isn't even that you get a lot of call bookings or anything like that, but your conversion rate on the calls that you do get goes up because they just inherently trust you way more. If you look at all the B2B lead gen agencies out there, first, like there's not a single one that has more testimonials on their homepage than us. We have 40 plus video testimonials. And then you just type in Nick Abraham or Leapbird and we're plashing it everywhere. LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. So it's immediately, okay, A, this guy could probably deliver. B, he's done it for other people. And then C, he's not going to just run off with my money. So let me give it a shot. And so we've seen our close rate just go up the more content that I post. And it's also good because you can just use it in all your nurture flows. If I create a new video, like my guys will send that out to new leads and be like, hey, this strategy probably could work for you. And they'll watch the video and be like, oh, this is pretty good. And it's also, you can make cold emails where it's like, hey, I put together a video on how we can, and this is one of our best performing scripts. I'm literally like, hey, I put together a video on how you can identify a hiring manager and reach out to them. And we're emailing like staffing and recruiting firms. And we're literally, so mind if I send it over? And they'd be like, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to take a look. And then we just send them a link to my YouTube channel. And like they watch it and they book a call. So I think video content is something that you could just use in every form and fashion. And you could just get caught up and diversified everywhere. And so that's, if I was a new agency owner, I would just focus on cold email and YouTube content.
1,000%. 1,000%. And I honestly just dropping the case studies in the cold email. Yo, here's screenshots of graphs up and to the right or whatever, like whatever that is that shows the validation.
Literally.
Sweet, man. Yo, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. We'll link down to all your stuff in the show notes as well. And anyway, yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Later, brother. Cheers.
Cheers.